Hi guys! Today we are actually going to take a break from our author study and we are going to talk about something a little different. Today is April 22nd, 2020 and today is Earth Day. Earth Day is a day that we talk about saving and being kind to our planet, like not polluting or throwing trash around, making sure we're recycling, helping maybe to plant trees and flowers, just being really good to our earth because we only have one earth, so we have to take good care of it. So we're going to read a story today called The Berenstain Bears Don't Pollute Anymore. Let's see what the Berenstain Bears are up to. There's always a little poem at the beginning of Berenstain Bears books, and this one says, "When Bear Country's cubs learn pollution is a fact, they help grown-ups learn to clean up their act." So pollution is trash. When you pollute, it means you're throwing trash out into the world. And we don't want to do that because that is really bad for our earth. So let's find out how and why. "Well, looky here," said Papa Bear as he opened the evening news. "Your friend, Professor Actual Factual's got his picture in the paper." "Oh?" said Brother and Sister Bear, coming to see. "And there's a big story too," said Papa, "and a headline." "My goodness," said Mama Bear, "what's it about?" "Leading scientist claims Bear Country is in serious trouble," he said, reading the headline. "Well, what sort of trouble?" said Sister Bear. Uh-oh, Bear Country's in trouble? Papa, who was reading the story to himself, didn't answer. "What sort of trouble?" said Mama, repeating Sister's question. "Oh, you know how professors are," he said. "Actual Factual's making a big fuss about pollution." "Well, I know how Professor Actual Factual is," said Mama, "and I think he's quite sensible." "So do I," said Sister. "Me too," agreed Brother. "Oh, I think he's a great guy, all right," said Papa. "He dug up some terrific dinosaur bones, and he runs a great museum. But I happen to think he's gone a little overboard on this pollution thing. And I'm as much against pollution as the next fellow," he continued. "But I just don't think a couple of candy wrappers and drinking cups along the side of the road is the end of the world." Doesn't sound like Papa Bear's taking pollution too seriously, is he? "Besides, Bear Country is in great shape. Come on, I'll show you." He opened the door and led the family to the front stoop. "You see, Bear Country's not only in good shape, it's downright beautiful. The rolling hills, the forest, the lakes and streams, and just look at that beautiful sunset." "It's beautiful, all right," agreed Brother, "but our science book said that some of those colors are caused by chemicals in the air that shouldn't be there." "Piffle," said Papa. "Say, aren't you two supposed to be doing homework?" Sister, who had just completed her homework, finished quickly. But Brother Bear was stuck. Teacher Bob had asked him to write a report on an endangered species. Do you know what an endangered species is? An endangered species is a species or a type of animal that there's not that many of them left because a lot of them have died. So he has to pick an animal group that doesn't have that many left in our world and write a report on it. The books he had taken out of the school library didn't seem to be very helpful. Of course, the kind of shape Bear Country was in wasn't as simple as Papa made it seem. How Bear Country looked depended on your point of view. It looked just fine from the Bear family's front stoop. It looked even better if you had a bird's eye view while flying high above the earth. But if you had a squirrel's eye view and you were finding fewer and fewer acorns because too many trees are being cut down, Bear Country didn't look so fine. If you had a duck's eye view, you might think the professor was right about pollution. And if you had a fish eye view, you might think things were downright awful. See, the squirrel's finding less and less acorns because these trees are getting cut down. The duck sees trash along the river, but the fish sees all this trash actually in the rivers and lakes. Isn't that horrible that people would throw trash in water? Like just throw it in a river or throw it in a lake? That's not very cool. The next day, Brother decided to visit the museum to ask Professor Actual Factual for help with his endangered species report. So Sister Bear went with him. Professor Actual Factual was usually cheerful and friendly and bubbling, with ideas and projects whenever the cubs visited, but this time he looked worried and glum. He cheered up a little bit when he saw them, but when Brother told him the purpose of the visit, to get help on a report with endangered species, he said something very surprising. I'll tell you the endangered species to do your report on. Us. Wait a minute. The bears and people, too, we're not an endangered species. We don't understand, they said. It's very simple, explained the professor. We bears and all other creatures need certain things to survive. We need clean air to breathe, pure water to drink, good soil to grow food in. And if we don't do something about pollution, we're all going to become endangered species. Come on, you'll understand soon enough. He led them out to where the Actual Factual mobile was parked. It was a special van with all kinds of scientific gear in it. Then the professor took Brother and Sister on a bear country tour that they wouldn't soon forget. They went past Grizzly Gus's garage, where they saw oil leaking into the stream, getting on a duck, and even killing some of the fish. They went past the old box factory, where they saw ugly black smoke pouring into the air. They scuba dived in Great Bear Lake, where they saw everything from soda cans to rusty old bed springs, and worse, they even saw a fish that was all tangled up in a plastic soda can holder. They cut it loose, but they knew they couldn't rescue all the fish from the plastic holders that were carelessly thrown away. They drove through the forest and saw many great trees had been cut down, and that not many new trees had been planted to replace them. You might speak to your dad about that, said the professor. He and his fellow woods bears could help with that problem. I see what you mean about becoming an endangered species, said Brother when they got back to the museum. Yes, agreed Sister, but what are we going to do about it? Did that evening news story do much good, said Brother. Not much, said the professor. The idea that bear country is in serious trouble because of pollution seemed to be hard to get across. To grown-ups, maybe, said Sister, but we understand, and all our cub friends will too, because we're the ones who are going to have to live on this messed-up, polluted earth when we grow up. Professor, said Brother, how does this sound? Can you come to our school and explain all about pollution to the kids of Bear Country? And maybe we can do something about it. Actual Factual was impressed. I'll give Teacher Bob a call right away and arrange it. And that's what happened. The cubs were all eyes and ears as Professor Actual Factual told them about the trouble Bear Country was in. He taught them 3 important new words: ecology, conservation, and recycle. Ecology means how all the creatures, the plants, and the earth itself all work together. Conservation means not wasting valuable things of the earth, like water and oil and wood and metal. And recycle means finding ways to use some of these valuable things over and over. The cubs learned quite a lot from Actual Factual, and they had some ideas of their own too. What about a recycling program? Asked one cub. Maybe for newspapers to start, and then if it works, we can do cans and bottles. Tim Honeypot said he'd talk to his dad, Mayor Honeypot, about it. Brother Bear remembered Grizzly Gus's garage. You shouldn't be allowed to spill oil into streams and kill fish, he said. Babs Bruno, whose dad was a police officer, said, I'll talk to my dad. If there isn't a law against it, there ought to be. Even Too Tall helped with an idea. My uncle owns a super-duper market. He could put a bag return plan for reusing bags. Excellent suggestion, said the professor. And if some folks don't want to cooperate, added Too Tall. Me and the gang can lean on him a little. No, no, the bag return is fine, Too Tall, said Teacher Bob. No leaning. What he means by leaning is that if they don't do it, we'll beat them up. But that's not what we want to do. Cousin Freddie had the best idea of all. Let's start a club to help stop pollution and call it the Earth Savers Club. We'll make posters and bumper stickers and have cleanups and marches and parades. But there was still the problem of Papa and his fellow woods bears. Papa is a woodworker, so he uses wood from trees to make things. That's what he does. That's his job. That evening, brother and sister told Mama and Papa about the Earth Savers Club and all the plans for stopping pollution. Mama was very impressed, and Papa was too. As I said before, just as much against pollution as the next fellow. But when the cubs asked him to be sure that he and his fellow woods bears plant another tree for every one they cut down, he got a little grumpy. Humph, he said. It's hard enough to cut trees down without having to plant them as well. Besides, what's all the fuss about? They're just trees. My dear, said Mama, the cubs are right. The forest is a living thing and deserves respect. Papa was about to say, oh, piffle, but he thought better of it. The problem of conserving the forest must have been on his mind, because that night he had a dream. In the dream, he was walking towards the forest to cut wood, but the trees started to sway and wave their branches, and the branches turned into reaching, grasping arms, and the trees climbed out of the earth on their roots and chased him. Help! Cried terrified Papa in his sleep. The trees, they're after me! And he woke up in a cold sweat. Oh, what a terrible dream. Having a nightmare? Asked Mama. Must have been something I ate, he said. Or something you heard, perhaps? About trees? Oh, piffle, he said, and he turned over to try to go back to sleep, but it wasn't going to be easy. The cubs didn't expect to solve all of Bear Country's pollution problems, but the Earth Savers Club made a pretty good start. The mayor declared a special holiday called Earth Savers Day, and the cubs had a big parade. Brother and Sister Bear marched at the head of the parade with Professor Actual Factual. And there were many grown-ups at the parade too, including Papa Bear, who carried a sign that did not say piffle. It said, a good woods bear plants a tree for every single one he cuts. No ifs, no ands, no maybes or buts. And that's the end. So you can do some things to help also. You can do some things at your house like recycling, making sure that there's no trash in your yard or neighborhood. Maybe you can work with your mommy or daddy and start planting things in the backyard. All sorts of things you can do. I hope you enjoyed our story today, and I hope you find something to do for Earth Day. I'll see you later. Bye.